Hi and welcome to my Kotlin tutorials for Android certification series. So we are following a study guide by Google, and so we are inside of the data management. Today we'll be working with Room, so you'll be able to save um, something on your phone, and namely the app will be note-taking app that looks like this. So there will be recycler view there, and you'll be able to put in notes in there. All right. So here, and by the way, I will put this link in description so you can just um, follow along. Um, so the app, the way it's constructed, is here. Here's the architecture, and we're gonna come back to this picture several times. Let me click on next. So let's create empty activity. Well, not empty activity. New app. Empty activity app. Let's call it my room app. My room with the view. I think they called it like that. With the view. My room with the view app. Long name. Okay. Kotlin, finish. So the first thing they want us to do is we need to add dependencies. First one is apply a plugin. All right, so this one, the plugin goes to Gradles and go to that Gradle app file, build Gradle model app file, and where it says on top apply plugin. Oops, that's something else. Let's see. Copy, paste. There you go. Kotlin capped. The next one, we need to add in Android packaging options. And that's to exclude atomic functions model. Not sure what it is, but they want us to add it, so let's add it. And Android is right next, right after plugins. And you can click on curly brace right here. It tells you where it ends, which is perfect because we're gonna add it right before it ends. We're gonna put this here. Next one is a long one. Let me see, let me copy it and then let's talk about what it is. So here, where it says dependency, let's add this here. And what it is a room components, lifecycle components, Kotlin components, material and testing. Okay, and the last one is extension that goes to different file, goes to build Gradle file, this one. And because it's extension, it doesn't have to go inside of anywhere. You can just put on the bottom, right after the last curly braces. Put it there. Okay, sync now. Okay, done in 2 seconds, perfect. All right, so what's the next step? Click next. See, we're already on step 5. So we need to create entity. What is entity? Entity, and by the way, if we go to back to this picture I was talking about, we're gonna keep coming back to it. Entity annotates class that describes a database table. while working with room. So here they give you also examples. So this will be the entity. And by the way, if you look at the picture right here, here's the entity. See, so it's inside of the room database. And it's kind of a blueprint of how the table will look like. For example, if you're working on app where user puts his first, last name, password, stuff like that. So that's that type of stuff. And let me just start working on it. Um, so you'll see. So entity, they want to create entity by the name word. Okay, let's do that. Don't need this anymore or that. So click on a package, right click, new, Kotlin file class, click on class, and the name would be word, and it's going to be a data, it has to be a data class. When you work with entities, it has to be data class, and we're going to say here val word word. Okay, next one would be we need to, oh, I'm sorry, it's a string. I was looking at string. Okay, so kind of blueprint, one word. It has to be annotated as entity, and tt like email sign at entity. And immediately entity room entity was imported. The reason why we annotated, so the room knows this is for room. And then we're gonna say like this. At primary key. So every entity needs a primary key. So when you add something, new node, it knows that node has, you know, its own ID. And usually the way I saw in many tutorials, they showed like this primary key, and you say usually auto generate true, and then you say val ID type of int, like that. And so each time you, as I said, you add a node, it generates ID. But in this example, they don't want us to do that. They wanted to keep even more simpler, so you don't need that. Next one we need to put is column info. Do like this. Add column info. And here we're going to say name, and I'll explain it in a second. Name equals word, like that. All right. And we need to do this one, like that. So column info is basically describes table, not table, placing table. Specifies the name of the column. That's what it is. A column in the table. So one column, let's say username or first name, and then if you want last name, next column would be last name would be another column info. If you want password, another column info. That's what it is. Okay, so I think we're done here. They just show you that primary right there. See, that's what I was talking about. Could be also auto-generated, but they don't want to do this example. Next, we need to create DAO. What is DAO? DAO is right here. DAO deals with SQLite database. Um, in DAO, we'll put methods to access it, and so you can go back and forth with the database using DAO. So let's do that. What's the name of DAO they want us to have? It's going to be Word DAO, okay? And it has to be interface. So when you click on the package, right click, new, Kotlin file, and here there is interface you can pick. And so it's going to be Word down, like that. So the first one, first we're going to annotate it as DAO, DAO, like that. Just like we did this entity, annotated. That was entity. This one we'll annotate as DAO. So inside of the interface here, we're gonna start keep annotating. This one, the first one would be insert, like that, and we're gonna have suspended function. The reason because it's suspended is because it's gonna be done in background. Room doesn't want it to be on the main thread, so it will be done in background, so it doesn't crashes, the app. Insert, and pick the first one, word. Here we also have to say what's going to happen if there is a conflict. So we're going to say on conflict, start typing on, and it will pop up most likely conflict. So let's say you put node, take out garbage, and then next node will be exactly the same, take out garbage. What to do? What are they going to be replaced by each other or ignored? Or so in this case, we're going to say on conflict strategy dot, and then here you can pick what do you want. You want to replace exactly the same node, or what do you want to do? So we're going to say ignore. And next one, entry we're going to do here is add query. Query is pretty generic. So you can do what you can do add update. So what this one will do, this one will update your database, or you can do add delete. But the one we're going to be using for everything else is pretty much query. Query is just generic words. And here we're going to say what's going to happen. We're going to alphabetize. So let's do function get alphabetized words. So we're gonna order words in ascending order, and it will extend. Well, what is not extend? I'm sorry. What is gonna be? It's gonna be a list of word. Word is this entity we created before, so it's gonna be just one word, but it's gonna be let's start typing select like this. Select capital. All, star means all. From. And check this out. If you just start typing W. Oh, you know what? Did we? You know what? We didn't. We forgot to do something when we created entity. We forgot to put here table name. So if you start typing table name, it will pop up, and the name is going to be Word table. And what it is, it's where's the entity? So this is the entity, and that table that we created needs a name. So we're gonna call it Word table. And I forgot to put it there. And so what I was gonna show you in DAO, once you start in that query where we trying to alphabetize those words in alphabetical order, select all from, and then when you put W, it gives you that word table from entity. This one right here, that entity, table name, word table. Okay, so select from word table. And what else we need? It's gonna be, and then order by ASC, which is ascending order. Let me see. ASC. Select from, why it gives me arrow. Select all from, okay, order by word. Okay, order by word. Which right here, see we have words. In ascending order. Next entry we're gonna do is add another query. As I said, it's generic, and this one will be delete from, and when you start typing W, it gives you word table. And the function that will be there is also suspend function. Will be done in background. Delete all, like that. So the DAO is complete. Let's see. Next step, live class data. So what is live data? I'm sorry, LiveData class. What is LiveData class? Let's go back to this picture, and here's the LiveData. LiveData observes, or here, LiveData is a data holder class that can be observed. It observes changes. If you put new node, if you updated something, it's inside of the view model and observes changes and lets the UI controller know that displays data. And so the first thing we need to do, we need to go back to entity and change, instead of list, LiveData. The way we do it is go to entity, word entity, data class word, and here I'm sorry, not entity, but that word DAO. Select right here. So word DAO, and where we have select from, instead of list, we're gonna make it live data list, and like that. So it's gonna be like, instead of list, it's gonna be live data list. All right, so the next step is click next, add a room database. So we need to create a Kotlin class file called word room database. Let me copy this. So right click, new class, paste. And you might probably imagine the first thing we're going to do is annotate it as such. Add database. Oh, it was imported right here. And the database, Wardroom database is, let me go back to that picture again, right here. We are working on this part right here, room database. So it's going to be a big one compared to the ones we just created. We created DAO and entity, they were small. This one will be, let me see, that much. Not that much, I'm sorry. Yeah, database, yeah, see, it's longer. So we have a lot to talk about here. Okay, so okay, let me go back here. So this class has to be abstract. So let's say public abstract class, and it has to extend room database. All right. Here we're gonna say we need to put entities. So start typing entities equals, and it's gonna be array of what array of word class. This one right here. This one word. So we're gonna say word class. And next we need to say version. What version? We're going to say 1. It's only important when you modify your database, when you change it. For example, so you have a database that says user first last name, and then you want to add another, you want to change it to first last name and email. So you have to modify it, but you want to keep, previous information. So we obviously not doing it now. So version 1, and then export whatever it pronounced is false. So once again, it's about the migration of the database. So we're going to say false. Next step, let's see. All right, so we need also create a singleton wardroom database to prevent having multiple instances of the database open at the same time. And the way we do it is we need to also here, fix this. So inside here we're gonna create singleton, but before that we also need to connect to DAO. Remember right here in this picture that I keep coming back to, we need to mention DAO. We are, let me see, room database right here. So we need to mention, see, it's inside. We need to connect somehow. And the way we do it, we're gonna say abstract function words down is word down. Boom. So now we connected those. We have this abstract function word down that is word down that we created here. And now, so go back to singleton. Let's create that in the form of companion object. And we're going to say private var instance is word room database, that is null. So what is it? What we just did? We've created this instance, which is workroom database, and to begin with, it's going to be null. And now we're going to say, what if it's not null? We started application, and if oh yeah, we need to create function get database. We're using getter. Spell database with context, and which will extend, well, not extend, but it will be a type of workroom database. And inside of this function, we will say vol temp instance equals instance, create it on top. And then what if, so when you start the app, what if it's not null? So if temp instance is not null, what do? We will just return temp instance, whatever it is. If there is database, here you go. Oh, return, forgot to put return. Return temp instance. But what if it's null? Then we need to use synchronized. Why? Because it's done in background, and so there are several threads. A room doesn't allow you to do this on the main thread. But what if there are two threads that are trying to do the same thing? So Synchronize helps us to avoid that. So it doesn't, because then we have a problem if two threads doing the same time, same thing. So Synchronize helps us with that to avoid that. And here inside, we're going to say vol instance equals room database builder. So we're using the builder, which uses context dot application context. It needs to be application context, and it's going to be a class. It needs a class, which is right here. See, asking for context. Then next, asking for class, which is word room database class Java. And the last thing we're going to add is what database it is, table, word database, database. Okay, we're going to name it word database. Nice. And to finish it off, here dot build. And two more things we need to add. We're going to say instance equals instance which is this one right here, and then return instance. Okay, so it's a boilerplate code basically. It's good. I looked at several tutorials. They all look the same. It's the same code. Just have to kind of memorize it or just have it, and next time you use it, just copy and paste it. But there are a couple ways, little bit slightly different ways to do the same thing. For example, some I saw was like this. Instead of not null, they do the opposite. They do like this. If it's null, do this. If it's not null, the other way. But basically, if it's room database is empty, I'm sorry, if it's not null, if there is something there, so return the result. If it's empty, then this part kicks in to update, to insert, to whatever needs to be done. All right, what's the next? So we're done with the room database. Next one would be repository. So repository deals with, if you watch my other videos, it deals with local. Where's that picture? So it goes to save locally on the phone, but it also can save it online via Firebase and stuff. And so let's create Word repository. Let me just copy and paste. So once again, click on the package, right click, class, Word repository. All right, so we're gonna say here private val, Word DAO, Word DAO, right there. And what it is, it declares that DAO is a private property in the constructor, and passes DAO instead of the whole database because it only needs to have access to DAO. And let's look at the picture again. So this is the repository that we're working on right now, and so it deals with DAO. So we just mentioned that there. It also so it's like a mediator between LiveData, DAO, right there in between. So it only needs to deal with DAO. And the next thing we need to say, I'm gonna say val all words is LiveData, just like I mentioned, LiveData, and which is list of word, right there, list of words, and equals word DAO that we just created on top right here, private val dot, and now we can so here we said word DAO is word DAO, which is this one DAO, and inside here we have a couple functions, suspend function, this function, that function, and here in repository now we have, if we put dot, it gives you all those functions that we created in Word DAO. We're gonna pick get alphabetized, and we need one more suspend that function. Insert with word constructor, and inside of the function we're gonna say word down dot insert. And what we're going to insert, we're going to insert word. So as I mentioned, it deals with two things: was the live data, um, and it also deals with the DAO, right? And that's what we just did. All right, so what's next? Next one is create view model. View model, how many steps left? Because I'm thinking about actually break it down to 2 videos. Let me stop right here and I'll see you guys in the next video.